Welcome to Everyday Magic, where we explore adding pops of magic to your everyday life. I'm Michele, shamanic energy alchemist and owner of Living Moon Meditation, where I help people find balance in their personal, professional, and spiritual lives. It's my honor to help you incorporate magic into your mundane life. Let's get started. Love Everyday Magic podcast. I'd love to have you give me a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. And if you'd like to support the podcast, please check out my support levels. For as little as $7 per month, you can help keep me going. You'll find it at gumroad.com/livingmoonmeditation. I have the link in the show notes for you. Today, I want to talk about Samhain. It is the Celtic festival celebrating the end of the harvest season. Literally translated, the word means summer's end. We associate Samhain with modern Halloween, although the festival is much older. Many modern Halloween customs, however, do spring from pagan Samhain practices. Now, back in my ultra-Christian days, because yes, I used to be one of those, I was extremely anti-Halloween. And let me just say right now that I don't have anything against Christian people, Christian beliefs, anything like that. I used to be one. That's not who I am anymore. But I still respect the people to an extent. I still respect the beliefs to an extent. But when it's taken to an extreme, that's when things become problematic. But we see that in all religions. So that's all I want to say about that. So when I start saying things about my ultra Christian days, I'm not knocking the Christian religion. I'm knocking the experience that I had in Christianity, because it wasn't pretty and I wasn't pretty with the way I did things, and yeah, it was just a whole bunch of bullshit. My personal experience. But again, back in my Christian days, I was extremely anti-Halloween, and I once wrote an essay denouncing Halloween for being a holiday of devil worship built upon pagan roots. So yeah, obviously, I've changed, and the way I think and my beliefs and practices have changed a lot. But yeah, so I was like, oh, Halloween is of the devil, and it's this pagan, evil, devil, Satan worshipping holiday. Now, never mind that Christmas and Easter are also rooted in pagan practices. But I can say that my strong aversion to Halloween at that time was because of the indoctrination that I had in my Christian experience and not understanding what Samhain truly represents, part of the indoctrination thing that was going on. So, personally, I find it fascinating that most cultures have similar celebrations, and that those celebrations are generally clustered around the same time on the calendar. You know, you see this in the spring, you see this in the autumn, you see this all different times of the year, but I'm specifically talking about autumn holidays, and Samhain specifically in this episode of our podcast here. So Samhain comes shortly after the Jewish festival Sukkot, and it is on the same day. Samhain is on the same day as the Mexican Dia de los Muertos. And I said that they're on the same day, which they are. Now, Celtic days, like Jewish days, begin and end at sunset. If you look at a calendar, you'll notice on most of them that there's a little note on Jewish holidays that say, Jewish holidays begin at sunset on the evening prior to the date listed. Now, the same is true with Celtic holidays, or Celtic days in general. So Samhain begins at sunset on October 31st and runs until sunset on November 1st. And November 1st is Dia de los Muertos, so they are the same day. Now, our calendars list Halloween as October 31st because our days begin at midnight and because we just think that, the beginning, because when things start at sunset, especially a day like Halloween, in our mind, that becomes the day that it is. And because our day doesn't start at sunset, but begins at midnight and runs to 11:59 p.m., that when we think of Samhain starting traditionally on the evening of October 31st, then October 31st becomes planted in our minds as the day that is Halloween. Are you tired of feeling stuck? Let's shift your energy. Start with my free quiz I made just for you. You'll get personalized tips for getting unstuck based on where your blocks are. You can find it at bit.ly/getunstuckchakraquiz. I have the link in the show notes for you. So, Samhain is not an evil holiday. It's not about worshiping Satan and all that shit. The vast majority of people who celebrate Samhain do not even believe in the Christian Satan or even in the concept of a similar being. Like the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, and like Dia de los Muertos, Samhain is about remembering, honoring, and connecting with those who came before us. Samhain represents death, and that frightens a lot of people. Our society is afraid of death and dying. We do everything we can to postpone death for as long as possible. For some, the ability to live forever would be a welcome option. I ain't even kidding. I used to think that when I was younger, but there ain't no way you can pay me to live forever now. There's not enough money on this planet to pay me to live forever. But the thing is, death is a natural part of life. We all die at some point, and we shouldn't fear death. We should aim to die well. And that's a concept that I'll talk about at some other point. I don't know if I'll do it here on this podcast or on my blog or in a video on YouTube. I don't know yet, but at some point I'm going to talk about dying well. And I do talk about that in some places in my newsletter. For those who get my newsletter about death and dying, I do talk about dying well. So if you want to get that, you'll want to go to my website, livingmoonmeditation.com, and make sure you sign up for newsletters, and specifically the death and dying one. But anyway, our aim shouldn't be to not die. Our aim should be to die well. Now, back to Samhain and how that ties in. Samhain ends the warm, growing half of the year. It is the demarcation line between light and dark, life and death. Samhain is a transition to the dark half of the year. What we have not harvested returns to earth. It is a cycle. It is organic. That's how nature works. So, what can you do to honor Samhain? If you can, make an ancestor altar. Light candles, add photographs, or a list of names of your ancestors, and add little gifts and treats of things that your ancestors like. If you can't make an altar, take time to explore and deepen your knowledge of your family history. Pick one ancestor or loved one whom you would like to remember and light a candle in his or her honor. These are just a few of many ways you can celebrate Samhain, if you don't already. And if you do have it as part of your tradition, I'd love to hear what you do personally in your own Samhain celebration. So be sure to send me an email or hook up with me on Facebook or Instagram. All those handles, email addresses, website links, and all that good stuff are going to be in the show notes for you, as always. So, yeah, reach out to me, connect with me, send me a little note and tell me how you celebrate Samhain if you do. And if you don't, I hope you get some tips from what I just said and let me know what you plan on doing, because I love to hear from everybody. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Everyday Magic. It's truly been my pleasure to talk to you today. If you like this episode, or you think it will be useful for someone else, please consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast app. If you've got any questions, send me a DM on Instagram at Living Moon Meditation. Remember, it's all about real magic for your real life. See you next time.